Bulls wide receiver Victor Snow caught a 58-yard pass, wound up out of bounds at around the 21, 22-yard line. And just yesterday, out of nowhere, this became a controversial play online. Scott was fired up. I was fired up. I knew that it would be fun to talk with Scott about it today. Scott, are you still fired up?
Yeah, I'm fired up there. I've got, first of all, it's been 3 days since we spoke, and I've not even that. We did we did the UB podcast in there before
Yeah,
this all
true.
broke, or else we would have addressed it there too. But uh, I've got like 11 things that I'm fired up about, and this is top of the list. So I'm glad that we're starting here. We talked a little bit a couple months ago when all of the basketball gambling stuff was breaking
Mm-hmm.
about Terry Rozier, and then it was also at the same time that Emmanuel Clase from the Indians or the Guardians scandal that was kind of breaking at the same time. And I said, leagues and people have to get this straightened out very soon, or else people are going to stop watching and they're going to lose interest because anytime something happens, they're going to assume that there's a negative outcome with it. And now here we are talking about this play, and it's just assumed because of the actions of a couple of other people, and really nothing has happened because of it other than, yes, there's charges, but there isn't really any. There hasn't been any reaction from any league as far as any of this is concerned, or what they're going to do to address it. And it's an innocent kid who made a bad play, but is now being painted in light of he's obviously in someone's pocket, and this play was a result of that. And this is what I was warning about. It's ridiculous. If you're watching a 15-second clip from the outside, of course you're going to think, what a bad play, oh, whatever. But now, because of all the legal gambling, it takes on this entirely different, nefarious type of connotation. It's ridiculous. It's unwarranted, but it's where we are. And until these leagues step up, and that includes college football in general, which I would assume at this point, with no major centralized governing body like the other professional sports leagues would have, this might have to be done by a Congress or something like that, or even by the individual states that legalize the gambling and allow it to happen. Um, the prop bets have to go. The individualized, if you want to say team prop bets, you can do fine. Will the Sabres have more than 3 assists in a game? Fine. Will a certain player have more than 1 assist in a game? Has to go, because that's really the long and short of where all this is coming from. In this specific situation for the Bulls, I'm a resident of New York. I live here in New York. I do have an account with a betting service, and I have placed bets before in the past. Living here in New York, you're not able to place bets on a college team that is based here in New York. I cannot bet a Syracuse basketball game. I cannot bet a UB football game. I cannot bet a UB basketball game. I can't bet on St. John's. I can't get in on Siena action. I can't get on if I know a hot tip about Binghamton. I can't get in on that. It's not even available. So I don't know where a lot of this is even coming from. On top of that, even through the services, I know the one I use, Caesars. I don't know if there's, even outside of the state of New York, if there's an avenue to bet Victor Snow totals.
I've never seen it.
Prop bets for a game.
I've never seen it for college. I'm trying to look right now, but I'm trying to also not jeopardize the screen looking the way that it is. So I'm off on another
keep the
screen.
integrity of the screen, please.
Well, I've got to do that, and then I've also got the like you're on the phone. That's where I know I could get into FanDuel. I have trouble getting into FanDuel on the computer. I'm going to look right now and see if for an upcoming college football game, if I can bet props, because I feel like not only were the people commenting online like completely unaware of the situation. We'll get into the explanation of what actually happened on that play, because when it happened, I mean, we're calling the game. So this hits us personally. Like, we know that guy. We know what the season would have been without him. We know what it was because of him. We know that he's an all-MAC first-team receiver. He's an all-MAC second-team punt returner. He caught multiple game-winning touchdowns in the last minute of games to put things away. And also, if you're trying to tank something, why would you have a 58-yard reception and then step out of bounds? Why wouldn't you just drop the ball? There's all that. I forget where I was even trying to go with it. I lost my train of thought because I'm fired up about it too. It's such garbage. No, I lost it again. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You talk. You're better at this than I am. God.
There's multiple levels to this, and it might even be different this week because there's only 8 college football games going on this weekend.
Oh, so I remember what I was going to say, and I'm going to jump back in, and I'm sorry. People are judging this thing on 15 seconds, and then it's, reactionary culture online, of course, that's what we do. But there are these mechanisms behind pushing for clicks. So Bleacher Report, I think, was the first one to put out this thing, and then Barstool picks up on it. And then there are all these arguments going on underneath. Barstool's like, oh, this is weird, huh? We did the game. We're like, that's weird. Vic is better than that. What just happened? But then you watch it, and you can see he kind of looks over his shoulder, and clearly I said – I went back and listened to our broadcast because if I had evidence of me saying it, I was going to use it on the show. The play happened. Paul says, great play. Oh, he lost his balance and stepped out of bounds. That's what he said in the moment. It just looked weird. We knew it looked weird. And then you said, yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like, yeah, maybe he thought the guy had a better angle on him than he did. Upon further review, we've talked to people over there who've talked to him, and we know his story on what happened on the play, and the story checks out. It fits with exactly what I'm watching there. But people feel the need to comment immediately after watching a 15-second clip without having any context and then just jump in, and then it just builds on itself because, yeah, that play looks weird. And if the context makes sense, if the Bulls were down, whatever, like, none of it fit. They scored 5 plays later. I watched as the Barstool thing was put out on Twitter, and then some account like "We Tell the Truth" type of account was like, yeah, look even further. This led to a long field goal attempt that was missed. I was like, no, it didn't. But you put the word truth in the name of your account. Like, people are just lying to you online, and we're all susceptible to, you see the play like, wow, that's weird. And that's the kind of thing where I would text you and be like, hey, this is weird, isn't it? And then we'd have a conversation about it. I wouldn't jump in if that's a UNLV game where I don't know the context and I didn't call the game with my friends, with guys that I know playing. I think I would view it differently. But even then, I wouldn't jump into a public conversation where I'm suggesting that the FBI investigate Victor Snow or that he should be kicked out of college football or any of that stuff would happen. I'd have a reasonable conversation. But we've gotten to a point in America where this is what we do. That's the discourse. Let's take a headline. Let's take a 10-second clip. Let's form entire opinions around it, and then let's argue online. And it's absurd. Okay, that was what I wanted to say. Now you can go.
No, I've always thought that, when the betting, well, I thought more about it recently because of the recent events that have happened around the prop betting and stuff. And I've always thought we need to get rid of it as a way to prevent anything bad from soiling the game and the actual product. And now I'm adding to that I have doubled my belief in it because I'm seeing somebody that I don't know him personally. It's not like I'm good friends with Victor Snow, but I know him. I have.
Then why did you guys
met him?
Why did you guys go see Zootopia 2 together?
We did not. We did not see Zootopia. That is not true. Now it's going to be out on truth sites that I am a Zootopia lover. Plus, I go with Victor.
You know how we know? I think that movie comes out today anyway, so it would be too early for you to have seen it with him.
But that truth wouldn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Nothing matters.
No one would look that up. It's because I'm seeing somebody get smeared about it, and it's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. Victor Snow, on the offensive side of the football, non-big man in the trenches, because those dudes are warriors, and there are a lot of guys in the history that I've covered. We're talking O'Hagan's, Trevor Sales, those type of guys that are warriors up there playing through pain, playing through injuries. I'm talking offensive skill position. I think Victor Snow is probably the toughest guy in my 15 years of covering. He's the smallest guy on the field. He is always on the field. We're not just talking about the fact that he's one of the best punt returners and kick returners in the league. He's also on the coverage teams. Like, he's got, if you look at the defensive stats, he's got plenty of tackles this year. He also has the most touchdowns on the team. He will take handoffs. He runs the ball. He's got rushing touchdowns. He will jump up in the middle of the field and get crunched by 3 guys and go up to make the play. To think that this guy is getting in any way smeared about this play or having it in any way reflect upon what he has done at UB is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There is no more team first guy than Victor Snow. Do you need me to play gunner? Gotcha. I'm in. There's not a lot of guys that would lead a team in touchdowns and then also volunteer to go make tackles. It's rare. This dude lays his body on the line every week. He will make tough catches. He does not care about damage to his own body. He just wants to win and make plays. And guess what? He does. Who scored the game-winning touchdown last year in triple coverage against a top 25 team? That was Victor Snow, giving up 4 inches to every other guy around him that was covering him, still winning and getting the ball and scoring the touchdown. That was, well, I guess it wasn't game winning. It tied. It tied the game, and then eventually the field goal was in overtime. But you know what I mean.
I do.
It was the major play in that game. This team this year might have only won 2 games if Victor Snow wasn't on that team. Period. He's that good and that important to the team. And someone's going to take a 15-second clip of him, and I will admit this, making a bad play, making a poor decision, and judging what was going on around him is utterly ridiculous. And it's not fair to him. It's not fair to him. We have been there. I have seen, and you have seen, literally every snap this young man has taken in blue and white. And everyone deserves respect. And everyone has been filled with effort, and he has gone full tilt every time. I have never left a game saying, I felt Victor Snow left a little something out on the field today. Not true.
I don't even remember.
That's not true.
Thinking, like, we think things about like drops with, like, Nick McMillan had a great year, but there were a couple games this year where, like, man, a couple of drops by McMillan. I don't remember ever thinking a negative thing about Victor Snow ever, not once. This was him.
This is him making mistakes. So let me go through exactly
please.
What you can see in the video if you're actually looking, what we have kind of learned through conversations, and what actually happened. Okay. The throw goes up. He's in that area between the corner and the safety. If we're being honest, the real reason that wasn't a touchdown is because the ball was poorly thrown,
right,
and it was underthrown. So he's got to slow down, backpedal, turn around, and catch the ball. If the ball was out in front of him, he scores with 20 yards in front. But instead, it was a windy day in Roberson's defense. Still not a good throw. He still makes the catch.
It's a good enough throw. It's a 58-yard play. Let's not talk about this like it's a tank, like it's a fumble on purpose.
No, but I'm saying the biggest reason why that's not a touchdown is because of the throw.
Of course.
Not him, whatever. Okay. So he adjusts to it. Now he's got to flip around. He has slowed himself down, and now he knows that there are 2 players bearing down on him. He turns it. He turns towards the end zone and towards the end of the field. The end of the field that he's running towards is the new scoreboard, which, by the way, plays a role in this. The old scoreboard he would have never looked at because he wouldn't be able to clearly see anything, so he would have never bothered.
Right.
Now the scoreboard looks awesome, and it's big, and it's clear, so he looked up. He catches the ball. He turns around. He knows that there's 2 defenders coming in. He looks up at the scoreboard. to see what's happening. That's obviously anything that you're going to see up there is going to be a half second late. And it's also going to be kind of skewed vision wise as far as where the players are. Another thing in this, I don't know exactly what angle they had up on the scoreboard, but it's very probable that they used an end zone camera to put up on the scoreboard once the catch is made, because where he makes the catch, he would be running directly into where that end zone camera is. The end zone camera on that end of the field is not directly behind the goalpost. It is offset to the side between the numbers and the hash. So when he's looking, if he looks up at the board at that moment and sees that angle, he's actually looking at an angle straight ahead of him, which is going to make everybody look like they're right on top of him. So he sees that. He knows that the ball right now is on the inside hand. It is not towards the sideline. So the ball is still in danger of being stripped away. And if he thinks that the players are there and he knows that they're, if, by his head, these guys are bearing down, they're about to tackle me, the ball is in danger, I can, which is a play that we've seen numerous times this year from the Bulls, try to do something and make something out of nothing and fumble the football possibly. Or I can take a step out of bounds because they're going to tackle me and keep the ball safe. We're going to take 58 yards and be fine. So you can actually see him move his arm in closer towards the sidelines because he thinks the player is right there. And then he goes to the sidelines and takes a step out. Is it a good play? No. Should he have looked over his shoulder and physically seen the players there? Yeah, probably. I bet you he wishes that he did that. After the play, even Nick McMillan's like, bro, you didn't have to step out. And there's been a couple of tweets out there like, oh, he wasn't even upset about it. If you look at the end, he's looking to give the ball to. And as he's doing that, he looks around and sees where the defenders and where everybody actually was. And you can see him kind of drop his hands in his head like,
Yeah.
oh, man, I didn't have to go out of bounds. And he does look upset and disappointed. You mean to tell me the guy that leads the team in tackles was going to willingly pass on getting another touchdown? It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous, and it's unfair to the best offensive weapon that the Bulls have had in 2 seasons now. I thought he was probably last year. He was the most dangerous player. And this year, you can't argue with the numbers. I know Nick McMillan had a really nice MAC, and he's ramping up, coming back from the injury. He has, without a doubt, been a viable, him and Snow 1-1A, however you want to arrange that. But still, the longevity is Victor Snow. Scoring a touchdown every game is cool. And I feel for him. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the program. That's not the type of situation or program that is run there, where something like this would happen. If it was, I don't think we'd be associated with it. That's not what goes on there. And it's not fair to him. It's not fair to Victor Snow. The dude is tough as nails. And he made one bad play that is a 15-second clip now taken completely out of context, being judged by people that don't know where the camera position would be in that stadium. But someone, a nerd like me, who's seen over 100 games in that stadium, could, I can tell you where everything is in that thing. I can tell you where the wind direction goes. And how it differs between the side. I've been there. I've been on the field. I know everything about it. So I can tell you what was going on in that situation.
Yeah.
And it's not what they are saying.
Well,
and
let's make
very frustrating and completely unfair.
Let's make an assumption that he, while running full speed, which is very fast, down the sideline with the ball, after having to spin to make the catch and turn to try to get away, and he is looking at the scoreboard, and he has told people we know that he was looking at the scoreboard and misjudged it. Let's assume the angle he's getting is the one we're getting. It's likely the TV feed. So he's not seeing the exact thing from directly behind him. He doesn't have an end zone view of himself. He has the view that we have and has to make a split decision. I also see him glance over his shoulder to check how close the guy is as he's stepping out of bounds. And you can almost see him go, in that moment, like, oh, I messed that up. But good news, we're at the 21-yard line, and we're going to score in 5 plays, and everything is fine. Everything's on track, and we're going to pull to within one score. They ended up missing the 2-point conversion there, but that's not really the point. Other things to like holes to fill in here. I went on FanDuel. It did let me log in. I went to the first college football game that's available. And if you open up an NFL game, it is not, I shouldn't say nothing but it is absolutely loaded with player props. You know, the passing yards for this guy and receptions for this guy and who scores the first touchdown and whatever. I opened up Troy at James Madison, which is the first one on here. The choices are alternate spread, alternate total points, JMU total yards, Troy total yards, total receiving yards, first drive result, first half winner, first half spread, first half total, first, second, third quarter spread. The point I'm making here is I'm almost to the bottom. There's no such thing as the individual player props. I thought this was true, but I've never looked for it in college football. It doesn't exist. So there are so many holes. It's so easy as a society, and you want to make it about Victor Snow and about the Bulls and about his integrity and their integrity, and I respect that and appreciate that. In addition to that, I would like to add on the part about we as a society need to stop with this instant knee-jerk reaction. I'll argue about everything and anything. And I understand because I've read other headlines and seen other 10-second clips. Like, if you are fully qualified to discuss this, your name is Scott Wilson, or Victor Snow, or maybe me.
Or you or Paul.
Or maybe Paul. But you in particular, you know the game, you know the people involved, you know the situation, you know the setting, you know about the scoreboard, you know about the potential crazy angle of the scoreboard, you know Victor Snow giving an explanation that says, I was looking at the scoreboard. You know the most famous looking at the scoreboard thing? Remember Isaac Bruce in the Super Bowl? Where he was streaking down the sideline, and it clearly showed him glancing up, watching himself, checking where the defender was, because there's video of it, so you can look and see it. And it worked out for him because he looked and saw that there was no way he was being caught, and he just kept going. But there is a famous video, and if I could find it, I'd put it up, where his eyes go from looking straight forward to glancing up as he's running down the sideline. And it's a tool that can be used by a player to estimate. I was talking earlier about Waymo and how they're driving past school buses now, and we have these driverless cars that are creating more problems than if you let a 10-year-old drive a car. The technology is there. We're using it. He used the rearview mirror, and objects are closer than they appear, or in this case, maybe vice versa. But it's not a direct, perfect system to know where somebody is. So he's in the moment. He's like, hey, I can look up there and see what's going on. Ooh, this guy looks close. Ooh, the ball's in the right hand. I'm going to tuck it. I'm going to take a step this way and live to fight another day. After, as you said, multiple times this year, going for that extra yard has led to disaster. If he thinks there's a chance that this ball's about to be punched out and loose at the 3-yard line instead of him stepping out of bounds at the 20-yard line, the right decision in that split second might be what he did, which is why I'm slightly offended by you repeatedly calling it a bad play. I will say he misjudged it. He made a mistake. And I know you don't mean bad play. I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but I keep hearing the word bad play, bad play. It wasn't a bad play. It was a great play and a slight miscalculation at the end of it that led to 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line, as opposed to potentially the ball loose and your comeback attempt is thwarted and all of that. So all of these things combine to make the conversation about something people don't know. People want to argue about things they don't understand all the time. And my point would be, hey, we'd be a better society if we stopped doing that.